I'm going to ask John to please come up. I would like him to introduce the members of the Trotta family that are here today.
Welcome everybody. I'm so happy to see you in attendance here. We'd like to first introduce Marion. Where are you, Marion? This is Joe's daughter. Paul. And Joe behind him. These are Joe's children. Now Joe's sister, Marion. Where are you, Marion?
Yay, Marion.
And is your other sister, did she get here? Did your other sister get here? No. She didn't get it. There was one more sister in Long Island that was here, and one that would have loved to have been here, but unfortunately she passed, I think, at the age of 94 in January? March. Okay, so it's unfortunate for that. But thank you again all for coming. And while I have you captive, I just want to say I have to give thanks to Susan Muti for doing such a wonderful, wonderful job. Thank you, Susan.
Well, I'm going to just go over a couple of facts because we all realize that the actual park renovation of the former brick park, it took a little longer than former Supervisor Joe Salamini, the town board, and I had expected. And I'm glad actually because I know he was not scheduled to be here, but that Joe Salamini is here with us today. Very instrumental in getting Joe was very instrumental in getting the funding, in getting the project started, and like the true sportsman he is, he handed it off to me and we got it completed. Completion of the park was my first and foremost goal when I became supervisor. This project was a collaboration between the town of Pelham and the village of Pelham. And I must say that we worked for the past year very well together. I worked on this project, as many of you know, with trustee Susan Muti. And we had a great working relationship getting this project completed. It was absolutely wonderful working with Susan. We were in touch almost weekly on the project as it proceeded, from groundbreaking to the last brick that was put here. And along with us was Ralph Magliulo, who is a part of Pelham that everyone knows. Ralph's been around for probably more years than I've been around. And Ralph is instrumental. Ralph did such an outstanding job in overseeing this project with Lenny from the village of Pelham. And the results of what you see is their hard work and constant supervision. We are dedicating this park to an individual who was one of Pelham's most respected and loved residents for more than 65 years. A man who so loved his community that he devoted much of his life to serving the community in so many ways to make Pelham a better place for its residents to live in. That gentleman, the Honorable Joe Trotta. Joe Trotta served his community in so many ways. As fire commissioner, mayor, supervisor, and then mayor twice more. Joe, like some of us, was a glutton for punishment. Joe Trotta also became the advocate for Pelham's Senior Citizens Program. He helped to improve the senior program into one of Westchester's finest. I know that many of you want to speak about Joe's accomplishments and his impact on Pelham. So I'm not going to go much deeper into what Joe has done for the community, but I just will say that this is an honor that is well deserved to a man who gave his all to this community. And I admire him, and we need more people like him. Thank you very much. Turn the microphone over to, well, the microphone, but to Senator Klein, Senator Jeff Klein, who was instrumental in helping us to get this project done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I want to thank my colleagues in government. I certainly want to thank and recognize the Trotta family. What we're doing here today is making, or sort of creating our part of history. something that Joe Trotta certainly deserves. Someone who served as mayor, fire commissioner, supervisor, senior advocate. He loved the town of Pelham as much as he loved anything. Each and every day he woke up with a very simple truth. How can I make the town of Pelham a better place to live? And I think that was his driving force. And that's something important for any individual. I think we need people like Joe Trotta to really make sure our community works, make sure we cut wasted government, which he did through consolidation, make sure that government runs properly, as he did when he was mayor and supervisor. And this is something that's very important to me. So I know when the town reached out, myself and Assemblywoman Paulin were able to secure state dollars to make this park a reality. And I think it's important as well to recognize Joe, because I think now, each and every day, when we pass by this park, we can remember him. We can remember his contributions. We can remember all he's done. And I know he's looking down at us with a smile today, because the town of Pelham that he loves so much continues to prosper, continues to make sure that it's a great place to raise a family. It continues to be a place where our senior citizens can live out their golden years in comfort and dignity. These are things that Joe stood for, and I know he's very, very proud. So one of the great things that I get to do is proclaim days, and I know Pelham already proclaimed Joe Trotta Day here in Pelham, but today, May 18th, 2014, all over the state of New York will be known as Joseph Trotta Day.
Now, like Amy Paulin, Assemblywoman Amy Paulin, please.
I'm delighted to be here today to celebrate the dedication of Joseph A. Trotta Park. It looks amazing, wonderful, and I'm proud to have played a role in its transformation. Joe Trotta, as it's been said, set a very high bar for the spirit of volunteerism and commitment to community, and that is saying a lot in the town of Pelham. He served the village of North Pelham as its mayor three times, and its town as its supervisor, and of course as its senior citizen advocate. Most importantly, he got things done. He renovated what is now known as Glover Field and the Durango Townhouse. He modernized the administration of the town by computerizing tax collections. I'm sure not everybody's that happy about that, but, and appointing the first full-time tax assessor. This lovely spot in the middle of downtown is an apt tribute to a man who cared so much about the town he called home. As a place where kids can eat their lunch and seniors can enjoy a cup of coffee, it is a park that brings people together, and that's what Joe Trotta was all about. Thank you.
Now, Paul Trotta, Joe's son, will be saying a few words, please.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out today on this really beautiful day. Couldn't have better weather, and we're so happy to be here. I come from up near Albany, New York. My sister Marion comes from Florida. My brother Joe comes from Florida. We come together with other family members and friends to dedicate this park to my dad, who was a phenomenal guy. And I'll try to give you some perspective on him from his children's point of view. Although Dad was born in New Rochelle, he lived most of his life in Pelham with my mother Frances in the house on 4th Avenue where my mother was born. I've been around a while, and I can safely say that I have never met anybody that dedicated his life so in total to his community. My brother Joe and my sister Marion and I were growing up and going to school here during many of the years that Dad was active in politics and in the community. And we can attest to the many hours, days, weeks, months, and even years that Dad worked tirelessly to solve problems and help raise the quality of life for all of his friends and neighbors in Pelham. Dad's been gone a while now, so I know that some of you didn't know him personally, and that's too bad because I know that you would have loved him. He loved people and he loved to serve. He was the best guy that I ever knew of for getting things done and solving problems. And as far as I can remember, he never let Pelham down, he never let his friends down, and he certainly never let his family down. He was many things to many people. He was a father to us. He was a grandfather. He was a great-grandfather. He was a brother. Like many of us, he was an uncle and a cousin. But I always think that to Pelham, he was always the mayor. And to me, he'll always be the mayor. That was the job he seemed to love the most. And that was where he seemed, to me, to be the most effective in the things that he did. We gathered today to celebrate all that Dad was and all that he did and all that he gave to Pelham, and to dedicate this beautiful spot to his memory. And he would be so proud today and so happy today to see us all here in this beautiful place. One of Dad's favorite sayings or quotes was from a guy who said, "All that is necessary for evil to thrive is for good men to do nothing." And that was Edmund Burke who said that. And Dad liked that saying because he lived that saying. And he believed that he had to do things for the good of his family, his friends, and his community. And one thing he never wanted to do with Dad was tell him you needed something. Because if you needed a quart of milk, he would show up with 2 gallons for you. Or if you needed something, like many of us in this community back in the day did, it would show up somehow from Pop. He would deliver. And he just loved to do that. I'd like to close with a very short verse from the Gospel of Matthew that I think is appropriate to this dedication and which applies to Dad and in all that he did. And it's a simple scripture verse that says, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant." So thanks for coming. Appreciate it. We enjoy seeing you.
And now the mayor of Pelham, Tim Cassidy.
I would like to thank everyone for coming today, and I really do feel like this is a great monument to Joe Trotta, and I think it's a symbol of communities and village government working together. So I'd like to thank Senator Klein, Amy Paulin, Susan Muti, Pete DiPaolo, and our entire village worked together on this. The police department, the fire department, the DPW, our office staff, especially Terry Rourke. And I'd like to say quickly about Pelham. This is a special place. I went to high school here, and I came back after living in the city. And you know, my wife was diagnosed with cancer 3 months ago, and since then, you just feel the outpouring of support and people bringing over dinners, and that's what this is about. And that's what Joe Trotta was about. It was about helping out his community, and that's such a wonderful way to live your life. And we should all think about that. And I'm very proud to say I met Joe Trotta, and I knew Joe Trotta, and I think this is a wonderful tribute to him. So I want to thank you all for coming, and it's been a great day. Thank you very much. This is the office of Mayor, Village of Pelham Proclamation. Joe Trotta was born and raised in New Rochelle, and was a resident of Pelham for more than 65 years, where he and his wife Frances raised their 3 children, Marion, Joe Jr., and Paul. They're grandparents of 8 grandchildren and 5 great-grandchildren. Throughout Joe's many years of service to the Village of Pelham, Pelham Manor, and neighboring communities, he's had a positive impact on the quality of life of many individuals and organizations. Joe worked for Holland Company and the Red Devil Paint before retiring from business, but not from community service. He was a volunteer firefighter, fire commissioner, mayor, town supervisor and then mayor twice again before becoming the town's senior citizen advocate. Joe and his first major involvement with the Pelham community in 1949 when he joined the Hook and Ladder Company No. 1. After serving as secretary of the volunteer company, he was elected to his first term as fire commissioner, and after that was chairman of the fire commission for 5 consecutive terms. Joe's local political career began when he became mayor of the village of North Pelham in 1963. In his first tenure as mayor, he was instrumental in making many improvements in the village, as well as joining with mayors and joining municipalities to keep commuter train service in Pelham. Joe was elected Town of Pelham supervisor after serving as mayor for 7 years. During the time that North Pelham was merging with Pelham Heights. During the 5 years that he held this position, the quality of recreation programs were improved. A consistent maintenance program for tennis courts was implemented. The 6th Street Playground, now Julianne's Playground, and what is now Glover Field and R.J. Duranko Townhouse were renovated. As town supervisor, he computerized tax collections, appointed the first full-time tax assessor, and named the first woman ever to serve on the town council. Joe, throughout the years, was active in the Boy Scouts and the New Rochelle Boys Club. He continued with his love of photography and could be seen on Memorial Day and many other occasions with camera in hand. He demonstrated his culinary skills for large numbers of people at events for the Boys Club, seniors, and Holy Name Society. Joe's roots in Pelham go long and deep, and in a goodbye message to the village, as he prepared to move to Florida, he gave a challenge to the good men and women of Pelham to get involved in the community and do something to make Pelham an even better place than it is now. In recognition of Joe Trotta's substantial list of contributions to our community, it is my honor and privilege to proclaim Sunday, May 18th as Joe Trotta Day throughout the village of Pelham, New York. Thank you.